What's going on, everybody? Unready Future here, and welcome to the video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Charizard EX, a classic deck, man. This was actually the first deck I ever picked up when I got back into the TCG earlier last year. I believe during maybe it was a Paradox Rift format. Either way, it doesn't matter. This deck is extremely powerful. It's gone through a lot of ups and downs. When I first started playing it, like I said back in that about a year ago, it was probably the most broken deck I would want to say, to be honest. Which was before Regidrago. If Regidrago had just basically bullied Charizard out of the format. Like people still tried to play it, but it ultimately bullied it out of the format during the last couple metas. So anyways, we have a new way to build it. So usually you see the Pidgeot EX here. We do not have that in this build. Guys, I've tried so many games to make Pidgeot EX work in Charizard, and unfortunately, it just takes a lot to get two stage twos into play, right? And to use Pidgeot as the main engine, it's just a lot. Like it doesn't seem like a lot, right? You put a 1-0-1 line in, but it really does end up taking a lot of space out from the other consistency cards, right? And so here we have 4/4 Noctowl. We want to be drawing into, or 4/4 Hoothoot Noctowl, right? We want to be drawing into that as much as possible. We want to see Noctowls. We want to have Hoothoots on the bench at all times, at least two ideally, but have to have at least one. The Fan Rotom is to get those guys out. It's probably the most broken, honestly, probably the most broken setup Pokemon in the game right now. Like there's Squawkabilly, like see 6 new cards, cool, bro. Fan Rotom gets you out 2 Hoothoots for setup and a Noctowl. And if you search it up with Buddy Poffin, you turn a single Buddy Poffin into 4 spots on your bench filled up, and you have a Noctowl for the next following turn. So combo that with a Nest Ball, which we have 3 of, and a Tera Orb, which we have 1 of. You can get out a Terapagos and immediately get out any 2 cards that you want. We have the 4 Ultra Ball as well. Just a quick mention, the Ultra Ball might be one of the most important cards in this deck. It gets you your Noctowls, it's just the most flexible card, right? No other card in here can get you the Noctowls except for the Ultra Ball and the Jacq, right? And so it's just really good to have Ultra Balls. It can also, if you need it to, get a Terapagos, you can get that. You can get Fezandipiti, whereas the Tera Orb doesn't get you Fez. It doesn't get you, these other things. But the Tera Orb is nice to get that Charizard out because Ultra Ball is such it kind of just wrecks your hand, right? You have to discard 2 cards, and with Charizard, you kind of don't have the flexibility to keep discarding a bunch of cards, right? That you want to, with a rare candy type of deck, you need to keep key pieces into the deck, and so you can't just Ultra Ball anything away. You have to really pick and choose. And so the Tera Orb offers more flexibility, which I like because it not only gets you that Terapagos, which you really have to get down in those early turns in order to get the Noctowls going, and it can get you that Charizard without having to use that Ultra Ball and get rid of potentially important cards. Other cards to note in here, we have this might actually surprise people, the Gouging Fire EX, and that is so that we can deal with Cornerstone Ogerpon as well as Milotic. So we don't really have a really good way to deal with it outside of Gouging Fire. The Dusknoir line can deal with a Cornerstone just fine, but again, you kind of have to, it's just kind of like a lot, right? You give your opponent 2 prizes to go and get 2 prizes yourself, and if they have multiple, I mean, they could just Night Stretcher it back and put it in front, and then it's like, well, what do you do? And so yeah, the Gouging Fire is there for that. Not really a better option in the format right now, and it's nice also against the Milotic because it doesn't quite one-shot the Milotic, but with the help of like a Dusclops, or we could even, follow it up with a Fan Rotom Smack, and it will KO it. That's what the Gouging Fire is for. Let's see what else we have here. The Turo is nice to pick up if we start Gouging Fire or Terapagos or something. It has a 2 retreat cost, so it's nice to be able to pick something up. It's good against Dragapult. It's really just a good card. You don't want to see it early game, but it is just so good. It is a very good switch card. Speaking of switch cards, we also have the Jet Energy for mobility. Obviously, the Gouging Fire, not only does the Blaze Blitz, require 3 energy, and the Jet Energy can help fulfill that, but it also helps move it out of the active, and so you can't attack again with it, right? So if you load up a Gouging Fire, you can Jet Energy get out, or you can Noctowl for Colress, get Jet Energy if they try to stall you a turn by bringing up like a Fezandipiti or something. You can get out of that retreat, um, that or like a retreat lock or something, right? So it just helps with mobility. We have the Jacq, gets you Dusclops, Dusknoir, it can get you Charizard, it can get you Noctowl, really flexible card. I really like the Jacq. I honestly kind of want to even put 2 in here, but there's just not enough room. We have the 2 boss and a counter catcher for Gust. I really would like to have another Gust, but honestly, like with the Dusknoir, you only really need 2 Gusts. So that's fine. We have 2 Iono, 1 Research. Again, I would like to go up on the counts of these, and if we took out the Dusknoir line, we could just kind of beef that consistency up, but 2 Ionos is sufficient. 1 for the early game if you have a bad starting hand, perhaps, and then, um, late game for a disrupting your opponent. Like, basically the only reason to do it late game would be to disrupt your opponent, but I've kind of found, honestly, that Ionoing them when you have a good hand hurts you more than it hurts them, especially if you're playing like against Terabox. So I would I like the research. That's what that's there for. It's for if you get Iono down to 3-2 cards late game, you can Noctowl for a research or maybe draw into it and just get a full fresh 7. So it's really good for that. We have the 2 Area 0 Underdepths. You usually see at least 3 in Terapagos builds, but we don't really need that big of a bench. We use at least 1 Noctowl to set up in the early game, and then, I mean, really, the bench ideally would be like 2 Zards, or a Zard in your active, a Zard on the bench, a Fez, a couple Owls, and then maybe a Duskull, and then you're fine, right? So you don't really need that big bench to hit numbers with Terapagos. It is nice to have the flexibility of using Terapagos as well, because that also can hit Cornerstone Ogerpon. The Gouging Fire just helps mostly against the Milotic, and the Terapagos, it can come in clutch in certain scenarios. Like if you can get a manual attachment to it, turn 1, and then maybe your Charmanders get sniped, right? Because of because there's so many different Ogerpons, because of the Wellspring Ogerpon, then you at least have an attacker for the next turn, and it hits the right numbers. With a full bench, you're hitting 240, so it really is not a horrible backup attacker. It's very flexible. So yeah, this deck is really powerful. I don't know if this is the best way to build this. Personally, I would like to have a Night Stretcher in here, but yeah, I think it does the job. It struggles a little bit consistent-wise with the 5 energy, but I think this deck has a lot of potential, and I think a lot of the new archetypes struggle into Zard, and so Zard is very underrated against everyone who's excited to play these new decks. So yeah, I'm excited to show you guys what this deck can do, and yeah, let's just hop straight into it. Let's get it into the match here. We are deciding to go first. We won the coin flip, and this is an awful start. We'll just start Hoothoot. So, ideally we get some ball cards off the top deck. There's a very high chance of us getting something. Of course we don't. So, we're just going to have to bench this and pass. If it's Terabox, not the worst thing in the world. If it's Raging Bolt, not great, but I'm just hoping they don't get a KO turn 1 here. As long as they don't take 2 prizes, right? I think it's pretty far-fetched at this point. Like, Raging Bolt just has to high roll like crazy to get the Prime Catcher in hand to KO, you know, stuff on the bench, but... And the Terabox wouldn't get this KO'd either. Unless they gusted it with a Water Ogerpon. No, even then it wouldn't KO. But it would put me in a really bad spot, for sure. That's for sure. If Hoothoot lives, that'd be really cool. Alright, so let's see what you got. Maybe they won't even show us. Crispin, that still could be anything. That could be... So they're going to get the KO here. They are, actually, no, they're not going to get the KO. They're not going to get the KO. Unless they have grass in hand. Which I feel like is just kind of overcommitting because, well, you would just have all this energy to Teal Dance, right? To just advance your board, and obviously... I mean, I guess they don't know what I'm playing because of this Gouging Fire, so it could just as easily be like a turbo deck, which makes less sense for them to even have this Teal Mask on the field. I don't even want to give them the Area 0, or to have the Teal Mask in the active spot. Okay, well, not terrible. We have to put 2 down. Yeah. Okay, so worst case, so this has to be Terabox, right? Now that with the water energy that they've shown us, so worst thing that they could possibly do here is boss, like basically get the water spring in play or the wellspring in play, and then attack with that to KO both Charmanders, but they can't do that now, so that's cool. Yeah, that thing's a menace, dude. But I mean, I'm OHKOing this with the Charizard, so, and then we can Noctowl, get out Buddy Poffins. We could research, get a fresh new hand, potentially get a Dusknoir to set up at least a Dusk. Well, we need a Nor to not get KO'd by the Wellspring. But we might want to be careful with this Lily's Clefairy, and so he's down 2 boss. I think that's all the boss this deck runs, which is kind of exciting for me because I really would not like to get any of these pulled up and sniped. So this is what the Gouging Fire is for right here, is this his Cornerstone, and that Cornerstone has lost me a game against this Terabox before, so okay, so we'll go ahead and evolve here, active, and yeah, we'll attack with Zard. We need to go ahead and get this KO. We actually see, and we don't have enough energy to do Gouging and Zard, so like this is just a big reason why I kind of like having the extra energy in deck. I mean, we could just attach again from hand and then go with the Jet Energy, but honestly, we also do have Counter Catcher and Boss, so I think I just want to leave the energy in deck. Unfortunately, we also have this boss in hand. And I'd like to save the Iono for like a late game play, but I don't know. So they have 8, we have 4, 12, 240, 260. Yeah. If I put another Hoothoot down though, that Wellspring is more of a threat. I think we'll just do this. Yeah. And we'll Iono. Which kind of feels bad because they also just have a ton of Hoothoots here. So I feel like they could kind of do a lot of damage. So okay, so let's see. So if we're at 16, they're hitting for 320, 340. So we just need to not fill the bench and we'll be okay. Like, I don't care if they KO these guys. I just don't want the Zard to get one shot. At least not right now. Do they run any like damage mods? I don't think so. And we'll flip. Okay. That doesn't quite get us Nor. It would get us Clops, but if they go Wellspring... Okay, so let's think. They could go 2, 1, 2. I don't know. I think we'll be okay. Let's just hold. Let's just hold. I don't want to over bench, and I don't want to. Like, I mean, if they just get Counter Catcher plus Wellspring, then they just get it. But I'm just trying to think. We can just Gust, KO, 2/2/2. We could, like they have to go for this Duskull though, because if they don't KO this Duskull, then I could just go Nor Briar for game if they take a 2-prize KO. Because I would just Nor onto like a Noctowl or something, right? Go down to 3, KO the active. Because I'm blowing up anything in the active unless it's a cornerstone. So okay, we're just trolling. It's not a Tera Pokemon, bro. Oh my gosh. Just when I get a matchup where I'm like, ah, this is gonna be sick content, like, you know, I'm trying to learn this matchup, and I feel like I've gotten better at it to where like I can navigate it and show you guys. We run into someone who attaches a sparkling crystal on their Clefairy. And even if they did that, the math doesn't add up to where you're taking a KO on a Zard. You're still 10 damage short. GG's, I guess. Here we go. Let's get into it. Our opponent decides to go first. Oh my gosh. I had the Gouging Fire too. Usually this deck just has the donk, so I guess just punished for not benching multiple Pokemon. Every time I come across this deck, I forget. There's the jungle. They just need the stupid tool now. And they're digging through half their deck on turn 1, so it'd be a miracle if they don't get this. Oh my gosh. Do they not have it? They might not have it. Well, that's exciting, because I think I just win if they don't if they don't get it, right? So a Zard, I'm trying to think. So what do we need to hit like Duraludon or Archaludon? Let's just get 2 of these bad boys down. So we need to be hitting. They need to take 3 prizes for us to KO with a max belt, which is unfortunate, but not terrible. Go ahead and get the Nest Ball out. Kind of makes me nervous putting out a 2-prizer because they could theoretically just Archaludon, boss, and then hit us with the poison if they can get into it. But based off this start, feels to me like they aren't quite there yet. Honestly, this hand is really good. I don't really even want to Iono it because I can Fan Call. I could get a Dusknoir down, maybe. It also just gives them a lot of cards to work with. I think we'll go Hoothoot. Yeah. We'll just pass. So if they want to Iono me, that's fine. If they want to not Iono me, that's fine. Okay. Interesting. So they actually had a Ditto. I guess I wouldn't have done much for them. So it looks like they're just going to go for the Archaludon here. So I need to bump this stadium, and I'm sure this guy has, here he has 2 in the discard, so I think there's only going to be 1 chance for them to bump the stadium. So we'll be hitting for 260 damage with a max belt, which is kind of crazy. But I think our play here is to just either counter catcher or oh, Tera Orb, nice. I was gonna say we needed another piece. I think we want to go ahead and Tera. Let's Tera Orb first. Okay, we got 2 Zards. We have 2 boss. Candy. Counter catcher is in there. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll Noctowl. And let's grab that stadium and a rare candy. Wait. Yes, because then we can Jacq and get the counter catcher, and then we can Buddy Poffin and get all the other stuff that we need. Which would just probably be just a Hoothoot and a Noctowl. I mean, in a Duskull. Yeah, let's do that. Like again, we don't need the stadium. We could have just gone for the counter catcher, but it's nice to get rid of that, especially with the Terapagos. Well, he's KOing the Terapagos anyways, so what am I really saying here? You know, we're close with the Terapagos max belt. We're hitting 290 maximum damage. Yeah, so I think we'll just go and do just the 2. Might regret that later, who knows, but and we'll go ahead and we'll Jacq. And let's get Charmeleon. Because why not, right? Hoothoot into Noctowl. And it would have been nice if we had had another Hoothoot in the deck, to be quite honest. But that's okay. So we'll get the KO. We'll get the KO here on a Latias. That's the most valuable 2-prizer And we're hitting for weakness as well, which would have been nice. Like, basically, even if he hadn't taken a KO, we could have just gusted and gotten Squawk or the Latias. So we basically have our 2-2-2 set out for us. So they finally get the booster capsule, so they're going to hit 260 plus poison, 270. So it's nice that they didn't get the stadium also, because that would have been an additional 2. Actually, I don't think that would have been relevant at all, to be honest. Okay, nice. We have the Dusclops. Dusknoir's still prized. 260, 30 HP. I don't know if it's worth it. I think I need to Iono though, to be honest. Like, they have a 1-card hand though, but I'm just kind of in a pickle if I don't get. I mean, I could Iono next turn. Decisions. I'll go ahead and Iono. I'm okay with it. I'd rather get a Zard out, because it also... Okay, we get Noctowl for next turn. I could get an Ultra Ball and just do it now. I'm just going to swing. I think it's okay to hold it, because we also would probably want to get... I mean, what would we get for next turn? I don't know. So they're going to go into the Petulant. So that's what we'll get next turn. We'll get a boss. And since we use the counter catcher, we have plenty of Gus. We could actually just Dusknoir that if we can get one out of the prizes. So we'll Gust Squawk. We'll save that for a Dusknoir. So I think we're in a very okay spot. And again, a Night Stretcher would be really nice to just get this follow-up, right? Jeez. It really makes me wish I had a Night Stretcher in this list, but I don't know. We'll test. We're testing, right? So we can Ultra Ball for Zard. Honestly, we could also just take the KO here. Not worry about gusting. And then Briar. Or just knock out anything. Because we could Dusknoir and then literally, yeah. It's cool with me too. Okay, and Iono, not bad. To be honest, not too shabby. So I don't think there's anything else we want with the Buddy Poffins. So I'm okay discarding those. How much energy's left? 2. So we can Iono the energy into the deck. Actually, I might want to put it on Terapagos. Because if they can... I mean, I don't think there's a way for them to knock this out. I don't think so. But it would be nice. I don't think I'd put it on anything else except to retreat. We have the Jet. So not gonna lie, that was pretty nice hand to have there. I guess we could put another Charmander down if we draw into another Rod. Well, how do we lose? If they take a 2 prize on Terapagos, we can't Nor. And we can't Briar. Yeah, that's how we lose. But we got the Fez out of their hand. And we have an Ultra Ball for the Briar next turn. So they also, if they don't get the KO here, we can force them to 2 and then take the KO, which is also kind of why this deck is broken, because you just have that option. But I honestly don't find myself using Dusknoir as often as the deck used to when you had Pidgeot, because it just feels like it's more important to get Charizards out. So let's see. So he's going to push the Arch. So right now we're doing 270. Yeah. So Briar Duskull gets this game. Yeah. Just making sure, because it would just be not the best time to to do that incorrectly. Okay. Yeah. And this is why this is broken, right? Because otherwise I'd have to like gust around this, and then we'd take in an extra. Oh wait. No, never mind. Never mind. Yeah. I'd have to gust around and like do all this extra rigmarole when all I need is to force them to 2. So we can go ahead and Curse Blast, and it matters not where we put it. We'll just put it on here. And that's game. We didn't even need the Maximum Belt. We play Briar, and we're hitting for 350 damage, which is just absurd numbers. And the cool thing is about this play, even if we had 4 prize cards remaining, if we had had the Dusknoir, we could have taken out like a Duraludon, put on the Max Belt. Well, we didn't even need the Max Belt at that point, but then we would have taken a 4 prize turn. So that was a good game. Kind of an easy matchup, but we'll take it. So we are going first, and besides this Fezandipiti being in the active, this is a really, really good starting hand. We basically did everything that we need, and it's a pretty bulletproof start. Okay. So this I've not come across yet. Okay, so we have Jacq Charmeleon. That's like what I have to look for here. So we'll go ahead and get to Charmander. I don't know. How many saves do we have? We have 2. Okay. So here's what we'll do. We'll Fan Call, and we'll just get a singular Hoot, or Noct, and we'll just do this. So we can Ultra Ball a Fan Rotom away, potentially, if we need to. If they don't item lock us, of course. And if they Iono us, we don't have all of our Hoots going to the bottom of our deck. So yeah, we'll pass. So thankfully we have the Charmeleon and the Jacq. So Badoo is not super scary to us. We could also go, I didn't check if we have Turo, but we're going to really want to Turo this Fezandipiti, I think, so that they can't just get an easy Gust. Plus, the Badoo 10 would make it a one-shot. Okay, so this guy is discarding a lot of stuff here. Lots of good cards have been put into the discard. Okay, so we're actually not item blocking me. I like that. I like that a lot. That saves the plan. So, unfortunately, we do have Turo. Can we recover any of this? Man, I want to get the other Charmander out, right? Do we have Colress? We do. We could Jet, get it out of the active. Yeah. Okay. So let's get our Stadium. And off the Colress, and then let's just get a Buddy Poffin maybe. Yeah. Yes. And then we can go Ultra Ball, Fan Rotom, Hoothoot maybe. So that we can get another Charizard. Because I would really like to not get Dusknoir and not be able to put down another Charizard, right? So we could have Jet the Fan Rotom and take a KO that way, so that our Zard isn't also like. Honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate that. I mean, we could, I don't know, the counter catcher just seems too good, especially in this matchup. I'm going to want to Gust probably a decent bit. I just don't feel good about discarding a Hoothoot. We don't have the Nor, so I don't know how relevant Duskull will be. Like, it could be good for like a comeback play, to be honest, if they don't take it out with a Phantom Dive turn 1 or turn 2. But I feel like it's too risky because it'll give them a 2 prizes just super easily. I could just go for the Charmeleon, but they could not, or they could Dusknoir it. I'd hate getting rid of Hoothoot, but it's fine. I wonder if they have Devo. That would be really, well, I mean, we'd be okay with the Jewel Seeker, but let's see, how many, yeah, we have 1 candy left. So I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have been the worst idea in the world to just have done Charmeleon, and then they'd be wasting a Dusknoir. Or not wasting, but they would use it on that probably because they couldn't Phantom Dive onto it. But this is nice because, I mean, they could do the Fan Rotom and get it down to 60 or whatever, but I don't know. I think the Fan Rotom is going to get targeted by Phantom Dive anyways, so I'd rather 10 be on this than Fez, you know. So we're not getting a turn 2 Phantom Dive here, which is cool by me. He could pretty easily though. Like, I'm gonna have to get a Turo for this Terapagos. If they like counter catcher, try to stall, because I don't have energy and there's just no way to move it. Okay. So I think we just go for the Assault Landing. So honestly, getting ahead 2 prizes is kind of big time, I think, in this matchup. I know they can just, you know, like Gust and take advantage of counter catcher, but they discarded 1 already, so they probably only have 1 counter catcher left. If they hit this Fan Rotom, they're not, you know, it's a big waste of damage. It's not very efficient. Like, ideally they would probably go counter catcher on this Fez and then spread damage on something else to try to take like a 4 prize turn, right? Okay, so the Iono us. Okay, so we got Turo. So I was kind of worried about the switch out for the next turn. And And we would have been safe to... Pretty sure we would have been safe to do the Dusknoir play, or Duskull. Let's go Noctowl. We could honestly do Terapagos Noctowl, because I kind of want the Fez. We could Tera Orb for another one. Could also Stretcher for it. So I think that's perfectly fine. And the cool thing about Zard having 330 is that they have to Gnoir onto it plus Phantom Dive. They could right, because if it had 320, they could, you know, theoretically Phantom Dive onto it twice and gust around and then gust it up for the final KO. But they can't even do that. So here's the counter catcher play. Please do the Fezandipiti. That'd be so good for me. Because if I have to Turo a Zard, oh nice. That's so good for me. Especially if he takes out this Fan Rotom. I think he's probably going to target a Hoothoot, so he doesn't activate the Fez. Goes for the Zard. That's surprising, all things considered. So I could... It's just kind of busted that I have this off of the Iono. Like, that's kind of unfortunate for him. I'll just push up this Zard, because he could also just Dusclops. Well, and then spread like 2 on it. Yeah, so I think this is fine. Let's just use the Artisan. Let's see if we can get something out. Tisk. I don't think... Okay, there's nothing we want to grab off this. We do not want to grab anything off of that. So let's just do this. I don't hate benching Fez again, to be honest. They just concede. That's game. Yeah, that Turo kind of just messed up their whole plan. Getting a lot of coin flips going my way this turn. We won the coin flip and decided to go first. Although for some reason, every time I choose to go first, I end up starting Gouging Fire, which is probably the least optimal starter outside of, I guess, Fezandipiti. So, and then we end up starting Gouging Fire, and then we only have 1 ball card in hand, so we can't get everything we need. Okay, we get the Ultra Ball. Let's go out and grab Fan Rotom. Let's just check our prizes. So have 4 Hoots, 3 Towels. Have 1 in hand, so we have all of those. Clops is in there, Nor's in hand. Boss prized. Got a candy. Nope. Okay, got all our candies. 5 energy, yeah, all the energy, and we had the belt, so okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll just, I guess we'll fan call and get a bunch of Hootoots out. Because we have the Noctowl in hand. And as much as I hate it, I don't think we can even really afford to get a Charmander down. Like, I value at least being able to play the game next turn over, you know, like waiting on a top deck, you know? So, okay, it's Hop's bag. Okay. Well, I wonder if this is the... which build this is. Don't think it's the Valiant. It could be the Valiant, and they started Blood Moon. Let's see what they do here. This will probably tell us what we're working with. It's funny to me how people have instantly, like, Hops Zacian just dropped, right? The whole Hops archetype, and people have gone from, okay, for your cheat. So, but they've gone from essentially like the vanilla version of this, which would just be Hop you know, choice band, you know, have the Archaludon. That's like the, you know, I guess there's not like a default way to do it, like, but it's just funny to me how we've swapped to the spread deck, right? Like so quickly. It just feels like it's just cool that people are trying to try new things and figure out what works the best. But the hopping around is pretty funny. Okay, so we have Jet. Turoing wouldn't be terrible. Let's get rid of the CC. And Nord just doesn't have a place in this hand. Yeah. To wrap. Okay. And we'll evolve. So we could go Stadium Jet. Would be funny. We could go like, I kind of want to research, but having 2 candy doesn't feel very good. We don't have a good follow-up if we do this play either. It's like Area 0. Maybe we just full research, send it. I mean, they just didn't do a lot, but like, did they even play supporter? They played research, so they probably have it. And I have the swap out anyways, so I'm like not gonna be offended if I leave that Gouging Fire with a little bit of damage on it. And well, Iono. So now we can get damage off on this. Hopefully we draw into some cards to... Okay, that's actually kind of nuts. So we'll get these guys. Maybe I should have done like... I don't know. I think this is fine. Good an Assault Landing. And it's nice because if they decide to Iono us or something, like, we still have the Noctowl spots, right? Ideally, we don't get Iono'd because this is a pretty nice setup here. Okay, Postwick. Kind of unfortunate that we just did all this. We'll get rid of the fire. I think we have to keep both Charmanders. We don't need a Duskull to win this. So that's fine. I want to keep the Hoots. I need to keep the 2 Charmanders in case they gust because I just don't have an attack. Fitting a counter game would be kind of sneaky into this, to be honest, so I can just attack with Terapagos at any point. There's a boss, see? I told you guys. But now we are one-shotting this Zacian with Charizard. Oh, and they blundered in trying to hit a Tera Pokemon with damage to the bench. You can't do that. Jeez. Unfortunate for them, they cannot do that. So our opponent's just kind of cooked now. We'll go ahead and we'll get out another of these 2. If they Stadium bump me, I can get rid of the Fan Rotom and the Noctowl that we're using now to set up. Which is pretty sweet. And hopefully Tera Orb's in here. Yep. And I could just go Fez, to be honest. I don't hate it. Just get our board back. Could have also just max belted. Like, we really didn't need to like let them take a KO, right? Like, as I was saying, was like we have the Fan Rotom damage on there, but it just makes it really easy. We could also put max belt on Terapagos, and there's 2 energy left. So let's just power that up so we have an option. We also have a retreat. for the Terapagos since we already used our Jet. Oh man, the temptation to go second Zard here is insanely high, but I want to keep that Noctowl. Cool. So this should be relatively straightforward. I don't see them winning. This is a really bad matchup. Like, as much as I hate to, like, I don't know if that sounds probably pretty cocky, but I mean, okay, there's Devo, 2 Rare Candy in hand, but oh, then Iono. Okay, well, I mean, you could Devo me all you want. They're not going to, but I have the Noctowl on board, so if you Devo me, like, you're just asking for me to. It's good that they showed this because I don't know if they're like, if they have 2 or something and they're thinning. Okay, they're actually going to Devo. And this guy's about to see, I mean, unless we're just stalling and we don't want this to get KO'd, but. I think this is the right play. Could get rid of the Charmander. Nah. We still have another Rod, and I believe we should have Night Structure in deck, so. I mean, this guy's about to figure out. I don't want a thumbs up because I feel like that's BM. They concede, yeah. Ladies and gents, that's why you don't Devo against a deck that has the Owl in it. Like, if I didn't have Terapagos, sure, but that was a good game.